The man stood at the edge of the long driveway, frozen in place, staring at the house he had built from nothing. Marble steps stretched upward like a reminder of every sacrifice he had ever made. Tall white columns stood proud, and the front door looked just as welcoming as it had for decades. But today, none of it felt like it belonged to him. Today, he didn't feel like the owner of this house. He felt like a stranger. His clothes were torn and dusty. His shoes were worn thin. His hair was untrimmed, and his shoulders bent under the weight of a single old bag. This was the same home where people once rushed to greet him, where smiles were wide and voices were warm. Today, those same walls were about to judge him by how poor he looked. What he didn't know was that the next few hours would quietly shatter his heart, expose painful truths, and change his understanding of love, family, and loyalty forever. Before the story goes any further, take a moment and ask yourself something honest. If everything you had disappeared tomorrow, who would still stand beside you? If stories about real emotions, family bonds, and unexpected twists keep you watching, then you're in the right place. This is Emotional Twist. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay with us until the end, because what happens next will stay with you longer than you expect. Before the story goes any further, take a moment and ask yourself something honest. If everything you had disappeared tomorrow, who would still stand beside you? If stories about real emotions, family bonds, and unexpected twists keep you watching, then you're in the right place. This is Emotional Twist. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay with us until the end, because what happens next will stay with you longer than you expect. His name was Richard Hale, and he wasn't born into wealth. In fact, he grew up with almost nothing. As a child in a small Midwestern town, he watched his mother sit at the kitchen table late at night, counting loose coins again and again, deciding whether they could afford bread or milk the next morning. He remembered winters so cold the heater barely worked, and summers when the electricity was shut off more than once. Those memories never left him. They didn't make him bitter. They made him determined. Richard promised himself that one day, his family would never have to live like that again. Years passed, and that promise became his fuel. Through sleepless nights, failed deals, and constant pressure, Richard built a construction company from the ground up. One small project turned into another, then another. Before long, his buildings reshaped skylines across the country. Success followed him everywhere. Money solved problems. Doors opened easily. People listened when he spoke. But slowly, quietly, something else began to fade. Family dinners became rare. Conversations grew polite but shallow. His children grew up surrounded by comfort but distant from him. His wife enjoyed the lifestyle, but the connection they once shared felt thinner with every passing year. One night, sitting alone in his office, surrounded by awards, contracts, and quiet luxury, Richard felt an emptiness he couldn't explain. A single question formed in his mind, simple but terrifying. If all of this vanished tomorrow, would my family still love me? Or do they only love the life I provide? That question refused to leave him. So Richard made a decision that would test everything. Without telling anyone, he handed control of his company to his lawyer for 1 week. He withdrew a small amount of cash. He left his phone, watch, and credit cards behind. He packed a single bag and returned to his family home, not as a millionaire, but as a man who looked like he had lost everything. As he walked up the driveway, laughter floated through the air. His extended family was gathered outside, dressed well, relaxed, enjoying the afternoon. When Richard stepped closer, the sound of his worn shoes scraping against the stone caught their attention. The laughter stopped. Faces turned. Confusion replaced smiles. His older brother squinted, trying to recognize the man standing there. His sister frowned. His own son looked past him at first, as if he were just another stranger. Then someone whispered his name. Silence fell. "What happened to you?" His wife finally asked, her voice tight, her smile completely gone. Richard swallowed hard. "I lost everything," he said quietly. "The company is gone. Bad investments. Lawsuits. I have nothing left." The words hung heavy in the air. His brother scoffed. That's not funny, Richard. I'm serious, Richard replied. I just need a place to stay. I need my family. No one stepped forward. No one hugged him. His sister crossed her arms. So what now? She said coldly. You expect us to fix this? His son looked away. Dad, maybe you should go to a hotel. His wife stood silent, torn between emotion and fear, but she said nothing. Then came the sentence that cut deeper than any financial loss ever could. We worked hard for this life, his sister said. We can't risk it because of your mistakes. In that moment, Richard felt smaller than he ever had before. Not one person asked if he was okay. Not one person said they would figure it out together. He nodded slowly, picked up his bag, and turned away. As he reached the gate, a soft voice broke the silence. Dad, wait. Richard turned around. It was his youngest daughter, Emily. She stepped forward, her eyes filled with concern instead of judgment. She wasn't wearing expensive clothes. Her voice didn't carry fear or anger. Please come inside, she said. You don't have to leave. Her mother hesitated. Emily, I don't care if he's broke, Emily said firmly. He's my father. She reached out and took the bag from Richard's hand. That single, simple act nearly brought him to his knees. Inside the house, the atmosphere was tense. Dinner was quiet and uncomfortable. Conversations avoided Richard completely. Plates were passed around him. But Emily stayed close. She served him food first. She asked how he was feeling. She listened without judgment. Later that night, when the house finally grew quiet, Emily knocked gently on the door of the small guest room. I don't have much, she said softly, but you can stay as long as you need. Richard couldn't find the words. He simply nodded, his eyes burning. The next morning, he woke early. Old habits took over. He stepped outside and began cleaning the yard. He pulled weeds, swept leaves, and fixed small things that had been ignored for years. His hands remembered honest work, felt real. From the window, his brother watched and shook his head. Unbelievable, he muttered. A millionaire turned into a gardener. Emily came outside with a glass of water. You don't have to do this, she said. I want to, Richard replied. It feels honest. Over the next few days, the truth revealed itself in quiet moments. Some family members avoided him completely. Some spoke only when necessary. Jokes were made behind his back. But Emily never left his side. She shared meals with him. She defended him when others mocked. One evening, she even offered to sell her car to help him start over. That offer broke something open inside Richard. One afternoon, he overheard his wife speaking on the phone. He's changed, she said softly, but I don't know if I can go back to how things were. That night, Richard didn't sleep. He realized that losing money hurt far less than losing respect and love. On the seventh day, Richard asked everyone to gather in the living room. Nervous looks were exchanged. He stood quietly, then reached into his pocket and placed his watch on the table. Then his phone. Then a folder of documents. The company isn't gone, he said calmly. This was a test. The room exploded with anger and confusion. A test? His brother shouted. I wanted to know who would stand by me when there was nothing left, Richard said. Silence followed. Emily looked at him, confused and hurt. Dad. Richard turned to her, tears in his eyes. You passed, he said softly. You reminded me what real love looks like. Some family members looked ashamed. Others tried to justify themselves. But Richard wasn't angry. He had already learned what he needed to know. That day, everything changed. And if the story made you pause, if it reminded you of someone in your life, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. Leave a comment and tell us what you would have done. Stories like this are why Emotional Twist exists. Sometimes losing everything is the only way to finally see the truth.